everybody. Happy Friday. Happy spring break. I hope all of you get to take an amazing spring break vacation to, I don't know, maybe your spring break destinations that are really tend to be hopping right now are the kitchen, the bathroom, your own bed, and of course, maybe the front door. Okay, so while you're enjoying your vacation on spring break, I will be trying to figure out the best ways to teach amazing stuff. I definitely still want to get covering content, so just know that that is my priority right now. Okay, so I want to just send this message to everybody tonight in my classes. I'm asking you today as your assignment to do one more reflection piece now that we are really 2 weeks into this. It's pretty wild to think that this is our new normal, and obviously knowing that we're not going back at least till May 1st does change how we feel about things. It changes how we look at things. It's definitely changed for me, this reality that I really need to just accept this and figure out ways to connect with you better, because I definitely miss you guys. And so I'm having to really rethink things, and that's fine. It's pushing me, it's challenging us. And sometimes we come out of these things way better. Great movements have always followed pandemics, amazing art and community responses come out of pandemics. Amazing healing comes out of pandemics as far as groups that sometimes didn't get along. Often pandemics heal families. So, I know we can't see that light right now, but I wanted to make that clear that good things can come too. But we're going to have a hell of a lot of bad before we get to the good. And I just want to be real about that. So I wanted to let you know that each of you today, what I'm asking you to do is to write a response. And, these pandemic responses, I asked you to write one when we started, and I'm asking you to write one now because now things have changed quite a bit. Lots of other states are on lockdown now too. It's not just a few. The whole state of California is on lockdown, not just the Bay Area. A lot has changed as far as different things we're starting to see, the way people are interacting. Schools change now for longer. We're really seeing what this is going to do. And today in New York, there was a lot of shift that we're probably going to start seeing. They have a lot of healthcare workers now getting sick. And there was 150 healthcare workers diagnosed today with COVID in New York. That's a big deal. We start losing healthcare workers, we're really in trouble. They passed a law or not a law, but a rule that if you were about to graduate from medical school or nursing school, they're activating those people early. They're offering people to come out of retirement and become nurses or doctors again, and they've had lots of people volunteer to do that. There's a lot happening, and there's also this shift coming that we're going to have to prepare ourselves for, and I know we're not ready, and we'll do more work on how to prepare you and how to think about it. In fact, my dear aunt, a shout out to Annie Jo, she has already been sending me some things on how to really help people understand and deal with loss, because that part's coming. And if you can see over my shoulder on the number chart, I've added a little tiny number down there that we need to start kind of keeping track of, because I think for some of us it's really still not real. It's just not real. And I'm not trying to be dark about it, but I need you to understand that it is coming. And so it's more important that we're more serious and we stay in loop with this. Just so you know, people are not even having funerals, because you can't do that. You can't gather. And so the amount of bodies are also overwhelming morgues. They're overwhelming places all over. It's happened in China. It's happened in Italy. But today we surpassed China. So we have officially way more cases than China's had. And that's scary because we're still at the beginning. And so that's China's numbers over months, and we're just starting. So that's going to be pretty intense to think about what might be happening. So I am trying to prepare you in a logical way, which the logic's going to go right out the window when something starts really happening. But I just want you to understand, we need to prepare ourselves. Like, we need to be acting and living differently and acting as if this is on the doorstep. Because they're actually setting up places just to store the bodies. So it's intense, and I just need you to know, like, I'm not trying to freak you out, because as much as that freaks us out, we also know that if we're social distancing and doing things right, we're going to be in much better shape. So I'm actually telling you because I need you to take it even more seriously. So if that makes sense, like, I need you to take it seriously. I'm coming to you. I'm like doing these videos to try to like make sure you guys understand. Okay. So let me just step out of the way so you can see numbers today. So March 26th, we surpassed that 500,000 mark, like I said we would. 531,806 cases. And then over here today we hit 85,000 cases. And I put the deaths down because I think we just need to understand that's coming. So today that we have 1,295 people that have died. If you watch the video that I put out of Andrew Cuomo, the governor, talking about what's going on, 80% of people are recovering and they're healing fine. Or that's some damage, but they're healing. 15% are hospitalized. They are finding that if they're hospitalized, it's more severe and it's lasting longer than it had in the beginning. Not sure why that is. Virus could be mutating a little bit. Could just be that people are paying more attention. Could just be people are getting sicker. It just depends. And then there's a percentage in there of people who are passing away, right? So I made it small. I don't want to focus on it, but I do think that it's important we keep realizing it's not done. I want to get to the point where the numbers, start decreasing. We're not there yet. So we are now the country with the most infections in the world and the highest rate of growth. So we really need to keep the social distancing up. There should be zero talk of going back to school, zero talk of opening stuff up, zero talk of going back to restaurants. In a pandemic, you cannot do that, okay? And all the experts would echo that and say that, so we really have to be careful. But what I want to do is just share with you a few pictures of things that kind of stood out to me this week, and tell you what I think was kind of happening. And today when you write your response, I would love it if you would just put on there, like, if you want to add some pictures of something you've seen, that'd be great. But I want you to tell me how you're feeling. And I've put some questions for you to answer about how you're feeling, how your family's feeling, how you're doing, how this new normal is affecting you. And so I really want each of you to think about that and talk about that. And then use the rest of the time to get caught up. I just don't want to add anything new right before break. We probably would have spent today circled up having coffee and kind of sharing. And so I just need you to share. I really want you to be honest. If you're frustrated or scared or mad or angry, or your family's driving you crazy, or you can't take another minute away from your friends, or it's been great for you. You're like, I'm an introvert. I love this. I'm playing video games. I don't really care. I want to know. Okay. So I will also write something. So I'm going to commit to you. I'm going to write something also, and I'll post that tomorrow. So that you can see it, or today. Okay, so I wanted to show you these pictures. All right, let me switch this over here. Yeah, I just blinded myself. Okay. If you guys keep wondering why this old laptop is like from my old school that I was at before this, it was one that threw away, and I keep it because it has a DVD player. But I'm also it's coming in handy now so that I can film with one and play with the other. Like, I know you're laughing at me. You're like, Miss Rickard, this is so ridiculous. I know it is. Okay. Okay, so just a few pictures that have really stood out to me that I think I wanted just to share with you. So one is just this nurse. These are tents that have been set up in New York. So they're actually not in a building; they're outside, and they're outside these tents with these, like plastic windows. And just she's briefing them. They've got all this gear on, right? Briefing them on how you're going to start taking these patients. They have people lined up in New York that have line up every morning for blocks, social distanced, trying to just get a test. And there's people who are getting sicker and sicker every day, but they can't test people fast enough. And it's also about getting those tests. And so it's really critical that you understand that's going to be a part of this. And so it's going to really come down to people who can afford it and can't afford it. And it's going to get pretty intense here. So just pictures like this of watching where we're at. These seem like this should be someplace else, right? But they're in America. This is down near Times Square where they've set up testing tents. So they've got everything ready to start doing testing and setting up emergency places. Also, these are this is near one of the hospitals, but it's up now near downtown, and they've set up these lines. So these people are lined up already trying to get tests. And they've had to set up extra stuff outside the hospital downtown so that they can actually get everybody tested. And this area is one of the hardest hit areas. And just the fact that we've got to set up, it looks like we're setting up for concert tickets or something, but all these people are lining up. And they're actually not even that, in this picture, they're not even social distancing. So that's, not cool. This is another picture of some of these tents outside that they have set up, quarantined. These are where they're collecting some of the people who have passed away. And so just to see them trying to get these tents set up and knowing what they're for is pretty intense. This is a soccer field in New York that they have turned into a makeshift hospital facility. So they are setting this up, building this tent on top of a giant soccer field so they can get everything ready for patients. People taking temperatures, like they're on flights now, even entering the White House briefing room, they've been taking people's temperatures. So aiming these temperature guns where you can tell what it is from a distance, sends a laser, right? They're taking these people's temperatures. And just the fact that that's where we're at right now, right? That it's serious enough to do that. This was a picture of them spraying down inside an airport. So just all these guys walking, just spraying this whole entire place down. And just this is out of some movie, right? It just feels like we're watching a movie, but it's going to get more real. Also, just kind of this feeling, right? Stay home, pandemic, COVID-19, people just kind of starting to get to that place where they're just trying to do whatever they can do, whether it's hanging up this makeshift sign or trying to deal with it in some way. This picture kind of stood out to me just because it's this, this guy's got all his full hazmat suit gear on, and then here's these people, and they're sick, and they're taking them, go over here and get help. And it's I don't know, that's something that stands out to me right now is just the coldness that we and necessarily have to operate with, but the coldness of I can't touch you, I can't be by you, I can't be around you. Always in pandemics, I always feel like there's this loss of humanity, that we can't touch each other, we can't do things like that, and I can't imagine being a nurse in that situation or a doctor in that situation, and that person's grasping for humanity and that human connection, and yet you can't because you've got to be safe. And that's where this is going to come, and it's going to be hard. Also, just everything closed. You drive by, there's a Chinese restaurant by my house, and they have a sign they said we just can't do it during this pandemic, and it just is this reminder that we're hoping all this is temporary, but how long is temporary? And we're having to redefine what even the word temporary means. Signs like this, letting senior shoppers, older, go first. That they've got exclusive shopping hours. At the grocery store by my house, they've put blue tape lines 6 feet apart all over the store so that if you're on a blue line, that other blue line is 6 feet. Just trying to get people to go, hey, 6 feet's really 6 feet, and trying to help people. Just empty shelves, right? Everywhere. The whole limit on customers, just empty shelves everywhere. And you come here and you like call back home and go, there's none of that. Like, what else do we do? Like, there's nothing. This chart stood out to me. This is by case in New York, how many they have. And if you guys are like, Rickard, we live in California, we don't live in New York. I know you don't, but here's the deal. We have to watch what happens to them as a marker for what's going to happen to us. So I know you probably think I'm like obsessed with New York. I'm not, but I am watching them because I don't know what's going to happen to us. And so watching that is a way of predicting. So, in your age bracket, right, there is not as many cases as there is 18 to 44 and 45 to 64. Yay for being my age. Those are where the most cases are, okay? But the interesting part is, even though there is not as many, total cases so far in the 75 plus, there are more deaths in that category, right? And so these younger ages, yes, they're not dying as much from it, but they are really talking about, like, how many people are getting hospitalized, right? So it definitely goes up. But I don't want you to think that, like, there's no chance. I mean, yes, they haven't had as many deaths, but they are seeing that as it moves across the country, it has changing a little bit, and younger people are getting more infected. So you guys, I know you think like, proof we're good. No, proof you're not good, and proof you have families who are this age. So your parents fall into these categories, your grandparents fall into these categories. Like, these are the people that are helping keep your country going. Your teachers, your doctors, your nurses, your emergency workers, your bankers, everybody keeping it going. You need these people. We can't just go, okay, whole country run by this group. Like, this is not Lord of the Flies. So we need to, like, seriously, think about this. This is also only for March 25th, so that's out of date already. I think that's it. So I just want you today to seriously sit and reflect. I want you to share your thinking. I want you to tell me where you're at before break. I need to know, like, honestly, I'm reading all of these. So if there is, like, something your family's needs and you're kind of afraid to say it, Nia wants to know so that we can do something for you. If there is something personally, like, Mr. Rickard, I can't do all this work, or, like, I just need some help, and no, I can't excuse you from all the work, but we can come up with something. So I need you to tell me personally in that letter today also, like, how you're feeling. So if it's like, Mr. Rickard, I just can't do it, then that's okay. I need to know that, okay? So tell me for real how you're feeling and what's going on. And if you can do something nice for people, do it. If it's an email, if it's dropping something off at an elderly person's house, I went to the store. I needed to go to the store. My neighbor 2 doors down is elderly and can't go anywhere. She's homebound. And I just said to her, I said, what do you need? And she's like, I just need juice. I need juice. And she's like, I signed up for this meal program. And she's like, but I don't know if I'm going to get the meals. And so I just went and bought her a bunch of frozen meals. And, it doesn't solve anything. I left it on her front porch. I desanitized the bags. Like, I tried to do what I could do to help her. Wiped everything down before I put it there and just was like, hey, it's all good. Here's your stuff. She didn't even come to the door. I just yelled in through the screen door. But I just think it's important that we take care of each other right now. So, honest to God, if there's something you're like, Mr. Rickard, I need help with, please tell me, okay? Because I really want to help you. I don't want us to be, like, sitting here and we're not helping each other. And then when we get back from spring break, we're going to do a bunch of stuff with global issues and start digging into that list. And so get ready. Also, I just want to also say that over spring break, I'm going to check in periodically. I might send you an email and go, hey, I'm going to live stream later if anybody wants to kick it. I'm going to, bake a cake. There's a staff member who has a birthday. I'm not going to tell you who, but I'm about ready to make a cake. So I think Might make a cake later tonight and live stream that and be like, hey, I'm making a cake. Who wants to watch? Maybe over break. Hold on, just froze. I'll also make pizza and show you how to do that. So I don't know. Call me, hang out. I'm here. My vacation is limited. So obviously I'm not going a whole lot of cool places. Really planning a good trip to the garbage. It's going to be fun. So anyway, just keep me posted. All right, I love you guys. Happy spring break.